Hello, UCAR. Peter Christensen here, coming to you from the CEO's desk. Going to continue talking about the seller's property condition disclosure. This might be the last video we talk about this new iteration of this form, but it's a good one. If you want an in-depth look at it, go check out Craig and Lance at the UAR. They did a great in-depth video that goes through this section by section. I'm not going to do that. I just wanted to hit a few highlights, a few things that jumped out at me, maybe more concepts from it. One thing you'll notice is the additions to it are, they kind of follow a pattern. There are a few new bits that we've talked about but in prior videos, but there is this pattern of asking for the information, and then if you say yes to any of it, it asks for further explanation. Who did the work? Who provided the service? Whatever the case may be. And along those lines, if you look at sections 2 and 4, that's what I'm going to talk about today. It asks about work done on the property, like remodels and additions and roof work, stuff like that. And it asks some key the concepts were in there before of has there been work, additions, stuff like that. But this time it goes a little further, and it asks specifically about permitting. And did you get the permits? And then, just as important, did you get were the permits closed, finished? So when you go to do work, every municipality is a little different in what they require you to get a permit for. Counties can be a little different too. So whatever body the property falls under, you got to check to see when a permit is required, and then what's required to finish it up. And so usually they'll issue the permit based off of some sort of plan for the work, and then they want to close it. And it's really under the idea of safety, health and safety, right? We want to come inspect the work before it's done. So when you don't have a permit, or the work's done without a permit, and you inherit the property, this happened to an old neighbor of mine. They had an addition on their home. None of it was permitted, and none of it was issued a permit. I don't know if it would have been permitted by the city had they got the permit, but they ran into problems where the city said, hey, this wasn't done up to code, and now you've got this living room on the back of your house that doesn't fit code. And the city can condemn your home. They could say you can't occupy this because it's no longer deemed safe for habitation by the city. So that's an extreme example. Usually municipalities will work with you, but that can't happen. So that's why you want to know, as a buyer, you can be inheriting a problem. So could you buy a home even knowing no permits were issued for certain types of work? Sure, absolutely. But as a buyer, I want to know what I'm getting myself into. You may have your own opinions about whether permits are necessary, whether it's the role of the municipality to ask for permits for certain things. That's a different story, different argument. But the reality is they have the power to come make trouble, and they may ask you to rip stuff up if they can't inspect it. They may ask you to tear stuff down, dismantle things so that they can look at it. And then they may ask you to change things, rebuild it if it's not up to their standards. And so you could be inheriting, as a buyer, some problems, and some costly problems. So that's why I think it's important that info is in there, and good info to pay attention to. So keep that in mind as you're working with these forms. Remember, this is not specific legal advice. If you need specific legal advice, please contact your attorney. This is legal information only. Thanks for tuning in.